Anyway, you have 155 millimeter artillery guns sitting on the shore that are incredibly accurate, could take out both boats, land, all the way back. You have about, do you know what the mileage would be for the range of the guns?
23 miles is about the total range of it.
Yeah, so you have 23 miles of this cliff in any direction. So they told the Rangers, you're gonna do something spectacular, but you're not gonna know what it is. Right before the invasion, they're on the boats, and I want you to picture waking up in the morning as a German, like he said, hearing the sound of the birds in the trees, the waves, and then the fog lifts, and look from that end, as far as you can see into the ocean, to that end, just ships. Boats, ships, people coming towards you on smaller landing craft, planes, blimps, weather balloons, and you think all the way back, those boats are pounding the shore all night with artillery. That's why it looks like this. So they come up on their landing craft to the bottom of this cliff right here, and the landing craft have a tube on them with an air pressured mortar, which is a small tube with an explosive at the bottom, shoots a rope with a hook on it to the top of these cliffs. And what they were doing is they would shoot the ropes, shoot the ladders up, and one by one, without a harness, without any safety gear, imagine rappelling your way up the side of that cliff with a rifle wrapped in plastic on your back. It's covered in saran wrap. So you don't even have a gun. You're climbing up the hill, you climb up, you get to the top, see this barbed wire? That's exactly what it looked like. You get to the top of the hill, people are shooting at you over, throwing grenades at that little cliff. See that tide? People are sitting here throwing grenades and explosives over the edge. They're throwing rocks, they're pushing the ladders off, they're cutting the ropes. People were attaching unarmed grenades to the end of the ropes just so the Germans would run away when it came over the edge. They thought it was going to explode. So they would try to climb up these cliffs. Now you're sitting at the top of the cliff. You have to unwrap your gun before you can even use it. It's covered in plastic because you just came in from the water. So you're soaking wet, you're freezing, you're wearing over 100 pounds of gear. Climb that hill with people getting shot at. Your friends that you've trained with for months, 200 people that you've been with for months, over the edge, you see them falling off, shot in the water, floating away. So you're not only physically disturbed, you're emotionally disturbed as well. And now you have to sit at the top here, all these guns, machine guns, handguns, shooting at you while you're trying to unwrap your gun. You can't even do anything. So you're running around trying to rip the plastic off your gun before you can even try to get over the barbed wire and across this field. Now the interesting thing is, once they started going into these bunkers and blowing up the bunkers, they were told that they were going to be relieved within 6 hours, that the Normandy invasion would happen, and that the troops from the two American beaches on this side, on both of these sides, would come in and help them. But they were wrong. It took them 3 days to get here. So they had no food, no water for 3 days. So you see where that steeple is, those villages over there? They were not only fighting here, they were making runs to the town to try to steal food from people's cabinets. They would send, the stories say they would send one guy to go run and try to steal food and run back over the German lines to defend from here. And they fought over the town here for 3 days against Germans. The worst part is, the guns actually weren't here. They get to the top and they find telephone poles and pieces of concrete in the shape of guns from the pictures. The guns actually aren't here. They find probably about like 1,600 yards that way, they find the guns in a field. The Germans, scared that the Americans finally would overtake them on the night before the invasion, took them away so they wouldn't get damaged by artillery fire. So the Rangers eventually found the guns, but they came up over the edge seeing that the guns weren't there. So their objective goes from being purely a destruction of a military weapon to pure survival. They know they have to get over the edge within 2 hours, or they're either going to drown down below or get shot off the cliffs. So I think it's just cool to take a moment and actually think about the gravity of what happened here. And then the German soldiers on the other side, like Mr. Lockwood is talking about, they wake up in the morning and this is a day that they were told would never happen. You know, you're sitting on these cliffs, they're looking like, who would be dumb enough to climb these cliffs? Who would have enough guts to climb the cliffs? Well, the Army Rangers come and they climb it. They're not actually prepared to defend this position as well as they should have. And you're looking at the German Army, 16 and 17-year-old kids, privates sitting here, who weren't actually associated with Hitler. Not everybody in the German Army was a Nazi. Not everybody wanted to kill Jews. Not everybody wanted to take over Europe. You know, it was the same thing. They were pulled into this. So you think of I guess, like, that's one of the horrors of war, is you're fighting concepts, but when it comes down to the actual people, it was just kids on kids. You know what I mean? I think it's a very, almost like heart-wrenching story. Think about climbing over the cliffs.